Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, including Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, and Rick and Morty. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hello.
And Brit Falcon.
Hi.
Today we'll be discussing the latest episode of Gravity Falls, The Last Mabelcorn. Kind of a surprising name of the episode, considering how heavy this one is in terms of plot for the show. We finally have the plot episode we've been looking for, and we will definitely get into all the details of it. You can find out all the details about this podcast at overlyanimated.com, and we cover every episode of Gravity Falls. The next one only in like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, so that's good. Finally, this show is not airing month to every 4 months. So let's get into The Last Mabelcorn. Spoilers, of course, for all of Gravity Falls throughout. Delaney, what did you think of this episode?
I really liked it. It was, Mabel is my favorite character, so an episode that's, I don't know how we're going to classify A plot, B plot, or whatever, because this is also a weird episode. We don't really have episodes that are like this. But, it was great and windy. Finally windy.
But yeah,
and we had
first Wendy sighting in like 5 episodes. Yeah,
forever. Like Wendy is around, and then I was a little sad. Stan wasn't really around, and Stan is my second favorite character, and he was just kind of there, and I missed him. But Ford was cool, and I don't know, it was a really good episode. Of course, we've just been waiting for Bill. We're like, where's Bill? What's going on? And finally, some plot, and just who doesn't love unicorns and the girls? Candy is terrifying, and just whenever the girls get together, great things happen, and it was really nice to see them out and not just in the shack or whatever. Like, they went on an adventure again. It was great.
Nice. Britt, what do you think?
This is my favorite episode. Oh my god. It was perfect. There was like unicorns and it was super girly and the girls all got together, but there was still like plot elements. It wasn't just like, let's go punch a unicorn in the face and do random stuff. There was like an actual like purpose to what was happening, so that like boosted it for me, and it was just great. I just love watching the girls interact, and then I liked the Dimmer and Dan Ford. We're gonna call him Ford. We're gonna call him Ford.
Yeah.
Ford.
Just like interacting because they're both like super serious, and I adore them. So
Yeah.
This was the best.
Yeah, I agree. What an episode. I was already expecting to like this one. You know, Mabel and the girls go on a unicorn plot. That's like perfect. That's what we've been missing. That's what we've been needing from the show. I mean, in all seriousness, though, this show is sometimes has a problem with too much of a male focus, and like Mabel's sidelines, and when she's the focus, she just has a romantic plot. You know, so it's great to have a girl power episode, especially trying to get something done. Although, once again, you know, the females are doing something of less consequence, while Dipper is doing more plotty things. But I wasn't even thinking about that until now, because the episode was so wonderful, and I did not expect to get every single question kind of answered. Like, seriously though, this episode is the most heavy plot episode, I think, in the show's history. We spent like 3 episodes introducing Ford, and that's great, but that left more questions than answers almost. This one just gives us like every answer, and it connects Bill Cipher
About Bill and Ford.
and Bill and Ford, and like everything that they did with the Society of the Blind, and like all of it just is just connected. And now it kind of finally seems like we're going towards some sort of end game with this show. We still don't have confirmation on a 3rd season. We don't even know how many episodes this season is, last I checked. There's one like thing where people thought this thing represented episodes, which would indicate there's 21 this season instead of 20. Things Nate posted that in our Patreon group, but like there's a lot of I tend to take these overanalyzing things with a grain of salt. But I don't know, was this a heavily predicted thing that Ford would be inherited, would have already made a pact with Bill, and that I don't know. I didn't really see this coming, and I didn't see it coming that they would like say the twist and then like kind of resolve it all within like 2 minutes.
Yeah. You know, I expected the episode to end on like a very terrifying note. Like we literally had like the Nazi war room with Bill. Like that's what happened. That's what that scene was. Like that completely threw me off.
Yeah, it was
Crazy.
that was kind of crazy. In terms of this specific episode, I last time we podcasting Ready Falls last week or the last episode it was not last week. I was pretty heavily critical of the show of that episode. It was kind of flawed plot wise. It moved too fast. It was nonsensical. I think this episode's the exact opposite. I think this episode has tons of. It does move too fast, but it makes tons of really good choices in terms of how to like have this. So the big question with the show is once we finally connect Bill and we reveal all of the plot stuff, how are we going to do that? And I think they make a really good decision here in putting it in the B plot of an episode. I actually think that the strong parts of this episode are the unicorn stuff and the A plot, right? I think it's wonderful. I think everything they do with the unicorn, like, they went crazy with the animation and it was wonderful. And actually, I think a lot of the plotty reveals in the B plot kind of moved really fast, right? And they
Oh yeah.
and it wasn't necessarily super strong. Like if we weren't so interested in what the plot was, then I don't think that's like narratively as strong as this what happens in the A plot, if that makes sense. So like from a critical quality perspective, I think it's a great idea to disguise that by putting in the B plot and not focusing on it, because once you start to look into it too much, you kind of realize, hey, we're kind of just throwing plot advancements out here and none of it's like, I don't know, is it satisfying, is it logical? But we don't think about that because it's kind of all condensed into the
Because there's unicorns.
It's unicorns and we're like focusing on that. And
they're dangling unicorns in front of us, and they're like, "Ooh, shiny!" And then there's like whispering plot things in our ears.
Yeah,
like, that's what's going on.
I mean, I don't know if the listeners are gonna like inherently, or I don't know if you guys agree with this, but like, it's maybe I feel like if you watch this episode a few more times, you'd realize like the stuff in the B plot is not necessarily super strong. Maybe when I rewatch it, it'll be I will disagree with that, but like,
well, I mean, it's just what happened, like you're saying last episode. It was just going really quickly. I actually missed several things. Like, I would glance away, like, briefly because something was happening, like, in my room. And I'd look up, and then I'd miss whatever. Like, I missed the whole part that he has a metal plate in his head.
Yeah.
And like, it was just going so quickly. And there was, like, suddenly now there are Bill posters and things everywhere, and we're in like a shrine, and it was like, what am I watching?
Yeah, I was trying to get all of the plot advancements down, and it
like
was
a lot happened very quickly.
It did.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it wasn't good, but I feel like the show knows that it's actually the thing that everyone loves about the show, which is kind of this crazy mystery plot that unravels, is kind of actually one of the weaker parts of the show. Which is kind of controversial. I feel like maybe not everyone agrees with that, but I'm pretty sure that Alex Hirsch pretty firmly knows this. Like, and it's not knows that it's a fact, but he believes it, you know. Like, he had these episodes, Not What He Seems is a great example. That was a huge plotty episode, and he chose to focus on character so much. And I talked about this last week, is the show's so great on focusing on character rather than plot. And this is one where they kind of had to just throw a lot of plot out here, and it wasn't super strong in terms of Ford, like, increasing his character development and stuff like that, but they integrate it and kind of disguise it pretty well, I would say. And I'm pleasantly surprised at how they accomplished it.
Yeah, same.
Do you agree with that? What do you think of that, Britt?
I think
heavy
it was.
sigh.
Yes, I'm contemplating. I think that it could have been executed better. I don't think that it was bad.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that it's weaker. Like, the mystery is weak, because they could do a lot with it. They have a lot of, territory to be able to cover with sort of interdimensional nightmare, this demon creature from another dimension. There's lots that they can do with that. And this scientist who created like a portal to another dimension that he lived in for 18 years or 20 years, however long he was in there. I don't remember the date, but so I feel like they could do a lot with that, but maybe they aren't, and that
which would inherently make it weaker. But
are they worried about being too dark? I mean,
that's kind of the other thing that you kind of bring up, is like, is what we ultimately get revealed even like satisfying given the buildup and like given all the things that they could go, where all the places they could go with it, right?
I knew pretty much inherently, like, I had assumed that Ford had made a pact with Bill. I thought that was pretty common knowledge. It just made sense in terms of plot and what we've seen before, that clearly is what happened. So
Because
that
Bill makes
part
deals with
wasn't
everyone.
shocking. Bill makes deals with everyone. And for a moment there, I thought they were really gonna, not hold any punches and make Ford Bill, and that would be terrifying. Like, how would they deal with that? That would be a very interesting sort of endgame plot line. And I guess in theory, they resolved it so nicely that he could still be in there. But I just want them to flesh out Ford more as a more dimensional character and give, Bill the power that he has. There's going to be, is he going to release some Titans? There's some nightmare dimension. Like, I really want to know why he wants to do that.
Well, I think
I want more. You know what I mean? Like, the mystery is big.
They can't flesh out Ford.
Why not?
It would ruin Ford's character. They can't flesh him out.
Because is just, you're saying his character is inherently a mystery? Is that what it is?
Yeah, like that's the whole like gimmick with him. Like, I'm going to use a Doctor Who example. Granted, I'm kind of a minority here with the Doctor Who, but this opinion. But like, Clara Oswald is a plot device, and then they made her a character, and it ruined her. I feel like that's what would happen with Ford if they fleshed him out too much. That's part of the That's why Ford is interesting. He's a mystery. We don't know anything about him. He's a mystery in a different way than Stan was. Stan was a character and then a mystery. Ford is just a mystery, and we've already talked about the mystery element of the show. I would agree. Like, I mean, it's interesting. I love it, but like, it's not all the way there. Like, this isn't like up there with like I'm trying to like it's mystery, but it's not like this isn't like the epitome of mystery. Even though I love Gravity Falls and it's great. Yeah, like it's not like the epitome of like it's not like the best mystery ever, and like that's what Ford would need. Like, Ford would like to unravel Ford. It would have to be like really, really like they would have to really go there. And a character like Ford, I mean, part of me kind of thinks they don't want to get too dark, but then also I don't really necessarily think that's a thing. But like to unravel Ford would be to ruin his character. Like, I'm sure we'll get more information about him, but when the show is over, at whatever point it is, I don't think we'll know that much about Ford, because to know Ford will
focusing on this episode more, but. Briefly, I heavily disagree on Clara, and I think that, which is not important right now, but I don't think that Ford is, I think Ford's character is introduced as a mystery. I think this episode, just thinking of this one, is kind of weaker because, not that I think the episode's weak at all, it's just the B plot would be more interesting if I cared about Ford more, So yeah. I don't know, maybe if he's a person, then he loses whatever makes his character. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know, but all I know is that the reason the B plot is maybe not as strong as some previous plot developments is because we don't have this character focus because Ford's not developed and stuff. Anyway, that's what...
I mean, we get some character focus with Maple and her.
I think the A one definitely is great for that. Yeah,
like Ford is just there. Like, I don't care about Ford. Like, he's cool, but like I don't care. Which I would love to have more character with him, but like at the same time, it would like, oh, now he's just whatever, and he's not like, I don't know. It just like introducing a character the way they introduce Ford is really interesting in that moment. But now it's kind of like, now we just have Ford, and it's like, what do we do with him?
I think the answer is you develop him. I don't know if I necessarily agree that ruins, like, I think his mystery purpose is accomplished, or will be, once we get more of the plot out. And if he's going to be a person, then he needs to be more of a person, I guess. Anyway, this episode, I feel like it's interesting because Brit was kind of talking about how whether a lot of the reveals they have are like ultimately satisfying. I feel like that's kind of Brit was getting at.
Ultimate satisfying, if this is like the ultimate reveal, because it didn't feel like an ultimate reveal. I feel like we got bits and pieces of something. Like,
I think that this was like the biggest ultimate reveal we've had to this point, though. That's
yeah. They played it off as one, but it wasn't one.
But I also don't think that we know everything yet, and B, I really hope this is the ultimate reveal. I still hope that there's more.
Yeah.
This can't stop here. I don't think. Like, I'm thinking we have to have it like. I mean, I don't even know if we'll pick back up with Bill like next episode. I doubt it. Like, I think I could see us having like 2 episodes where Bill is like in the background, and like we'll get little flashes of Bill, but I don't think he'll necessarily be the focus for a few episodes. And then we'll come back to like whatever the heck Bill is doing, and like get more information.
Yeah, this episode leaves us at a point with the plot where it can be very linear. We have enough information that they could go from here and just go from the place we're at and go in a place. We don't need more information for the plot to conclude right now. That's the thing. That's why this is so striking of a plot development episode. We've never really been at this point before, where the show could just end. Like the next week could be the finale because because of the place that they left us. I'm someone who doesn't care about the overall mystery plot of the show that much, so I'm not someone who's going to be disappointed by the reveal in this episode. But I could totally see, like, first of all, the initial reaction to this episode is going to be super positive and people are going to be hype. But I think what's going to happen next is that people who would love analyzing the mystery threads throughout Gravity Falls and like writing meta and stuff, which I feel like is kind of a little bit fruitless, even though the show has been good with its reveals and been building them up and stuff. I feel like
the show has codes at the end of every episode. Like it definitely
encourages it, yeah, but it's also a little bit of a gimmick, or like a distraction.
It's definitely a gimmick. It's not. It's a
gimmick.
Bit.
It's just like a facade or something. I don't know. But I feel like people might kind of be like disappointed, I guess, from some of the stuff we get. I'm not sure how the majority mystery loving contingent of the fan base will react.
I think it has to do with like how they see this episode, because like the big reveal in the music with like, oh, does he worship Bill? What the heck? Like I think they played like that got played up as like this is a really big deal. But then we get to the end and it's kind of like, oh, that just kind of happened. That was like 30 seconds. Don't worry about it. So I don't necessarily think this is. I mean, this is going to be like information, like we got. But like Brit was saying, like this isn't like they played it up for like 30 seconds as a giant reveal, but they really just kind of spoon fed us like little bits of information.
It was. I think that was too fast. I don't know if it was well done.
I mean, I'd have to watch it again. And
it's a lot to take in right now, and of course we're podcasting on this immediately after the episode. But I think that kind of my initial reaction would be that fell into the trap of that the show is often done, which is having plot reveals too fast. I mean, that was the whole reason last episode was not incredible, as it just went through the climax and the plot of the episode like super fast, and this I think did it too. But again, ultimately I think, and let's talk about episode specifics now. I ultimately think it was a very strong episode, kind of because how they structured the episode, and we have this extremely strong A plot. And I don't know. We're kind of I like how we're in like this broad discussion, so I don't want to ruin it by going joke by joke through the episode. What do you guys think of? Okay, what's this? Celesta Bella Bethabel. There you go.
Clearly making fun of My Little Pony the entire time, and I am all for that.
What do you as I don't know? What's your familiarity with the unicorn like cultural establishment stuff, and how do you think of how they like parodied it, Brit?
One, I love unicorns. I always loved unicorns. I had several unicorn beanie babies as a child. Now had names, and I used to watch My Little Pony. Anyways, I think it is hilarious that they made fun of just sort of like the trope of like unicorns being beautiful and special and lovely and perfect. They also made a reference to Legend. I don't know if anybody saw that.
I've seen it. It was great.
The movie Legend, like in the book, you have to go on a magical quest, and there's like a scene in the movie Legend where the woman is pure of heart and she's like singing this beautiful song to the unicorn. It's like riding towards her, and then she touches it, and then everything goes awful. But anyways, so it's kind of the show is, I think, making a very strong reference to that because it's a very famous like cult movie. Don't watch it though; it's terrible. Actually,
yes,
no, you should watch it. It's like the fun terrible. Anyways, it's very much that sort of the trope. You have to be pure of heart to. It's a fairy tale element. The trope. You have to be pure of heart to touch a unicorn, but unicorns are actually just bitter and awful and normal. Morality is relative. Punch a unicorn in the face.
Yes, Maple does. Maple's conclusion, morality is relative. And yeah, that's just all wonderful. Same question, Delaney. Familiarity with unicorn stuff, how do you think they parodied it?
I mean, I like know My Little Pony is a thing, and like that's it. And I have like a brother of a friend who is very much into My Little Pony, and I'm just like, I know it's a thing, and I know like the name of like 2 of them, and I'm just like the general, like, I know what a unicorn is, and I think they're cute, and like the constant like unicorns are perfect. I was really more into the pure of heart thing because like that cracks me up as like an RPG nerd, and like all those kinds of stories and like fairy tales, and it's like you have to be pure. Like that cracked me up the most. And like of course they were like Mabel, of course Mabel is pure of heart, and like that parody to me was like the funniest. I mean the unicorn was great too. Also like just the animation for the unicorn was absurd, and that was like the best part. Was just like everything like for me it was like the visual parody was more interesting with the unicorns because like I mean I'm not saying I was expecting it, but like I've seen the parody before where it's like the unicorns are awful, so like that wasn't like the funniest thing ever to me because like I've seen that before. But like it was the animation was funny, and like I mean unicorns are just great. Like who doesn't love unicorns? And like it was just great. But the pure of heart thing for me was like the funny part.
Yeah, I guess that could be like two different concepts they're like lampooning in that. I could see that. Yeah, I also don't have a ton of familiarity with unicorn stuff. I don't think this is parodying My Little Pony. I think that's like not what we're getting into, or at least the current show. You know, maybe like
that's just
no.
her name.
Like that's like
the Celestials. So just
that's true.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, and how the unicorns look too, because like the color schemes and like that's kind of like how My Little Pony like unicorns look.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, maybe like more the dolls, you know, and like maybe previous shows rather than the current one, which like has the whole brony subculture, which I don't think they're really intending to parody here.
No, I don't think they're trying to parody that. They are parodying.
I just thought visually it was just kind of like.
Oh yeah, I could see visually. Yeah,
that's what I meant. I didn't mean like
they might be
because
just
I don't know anything
parodying,
else.
Unicorn lore in general, which I think they probably are.
Yeah. And I thought this was all so wonderful. Like for a while, just when they're playing it straight, kind of, they have the crazy animation with Celeste Bell, and it was pretty crazy. And the voice, her voice, I don't know who actually voiced her. I think Alex Hirsch did one of the Unicorn Bros at the end, but I don't know if he was doing Celeste Bell. But it was all really good. And then at the end when we have the Unicorn Bros come in and everything with pulling I'm trying to find them in my notes, but pulling the Pure of Heart scam, and that was wonderful. I liked that more than a lot of things recently in general. It was one of my favorite things recently in life. And
I mean, it's really funny because like the show is all about scams, and of course the unicorns in the forest pull scams.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, they would be.
I liked when they scammed the gnomes out of the fairy test.
Oh yeah, and this episode also had a drug encounter. A drug deal.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that scene because that was absurd.
That was beautiful. I loved it so much. We had to go get butterflies. I like the way they tickle my beard.
Delaney here.
Yeah, they bust to the tavern and Candy like breaks a bottle.
Yeah, she does.
That was so messed up. I was like, Candy, you're like 12. Stop. And then
we are humans and we take what we want.
But everything in the A plot was just glorious. And then like seedy deal in the tavern with the fairy dust. And...
Yeah, they trade 2 bags of fairy dust for butterflies. But it was I don't remember what I called it, but yeah, it's just
drugs.
And they just play it so straight with it just being a drug deal.
They're in the middle of an empty forest and they're being sketchy, like they're on a street corner they're not looking at each other in the jackets, and it was just everything about it.
And then the gnomes popped
and then
out.
we even have dirty cops. Like we have dirty gnome cops who take bribes. Like what?
Tell it to the cute little owl dressed like a judge.
Yeah.
I hope we get to see that trial.
We didn't see the owl they dressed as a judge though.
Like, we talk about how we have a dead owl joke. That's a Harry Potter reference that I really.
Oh yeah, and we had a Harry Potter dead owl joke.
Of course,
yeah.
I love any episode with a Harry Potter reference. Like quality.
There's just so much here. Yeah.
Which is also really funny because they're 12, so they could go to Hogwarts. Funny. But and then of course, if there's any owl, it's dead. Like wow, rude.
Yeah. So the highlights for me of the plot are just that. Everything with the gnomes, the ultimate reveal with the unicorns, and it's
Wendy in general.
Wendy and Grenda also smashing rock over her face. I mean, that was kind of intense too. You know, Grenda
is always a treat. Like everything Grenda does makes me happy.
Yeah, and well, I guess we could go over the. Well, probably at the end of this, we'll probably do joke by joke quickly, but just all everything. Feel like everything in the plot just really, really strong in a way the show hasn't been in a while. Not in a while, but like we haven't had. I guess the closest thing was Dungeons, more Dungeons to this type of just really good execution on a concept, humor wise. But before that, we just had a lot of these like forward introduction episodes and stuff like that. Let's talk the plot stuff. I mean, we talked about it for a while already, but let's specifically go through the plot reveals, I guess. So Dipper puts the thing on Ford's mind and Ford's head, right? When Ford has a metal like plate in his head protecting his brain. I don't know.
What a Ford thing to do.
Yeah. I assume that is a technology of some sort and not just a metal plate that's expected to, unless it's like anti-magnetic or something like that.
It's aluminum. He has his tinfoil hat.
Yeah, he just has a tinfoil hat on. Bill is, okay, so I'm looking in like the end of the episode on the outline, but there's also a plot revealed earlier in the episode, right? Yes. We get everything with, like, how Ford initially introduced Bill, and it's like, here's the thing with the end. How much of what was established before this is still true, right? Because I guess how the episode tries to play it off at the end, and it's kind of a lot to take in, is that Ford ultimately wasn't acting, trying to trick anyone. He was just hiding information, but everything still was accurate in spite of that. Did you also get that read on it?
Yeah, he didn't seem to be lying. It was just very clear that he was hiding things. I think everything's still true. It just, though I think he's still hiding things. Like, I still think like we still haven't gotten the whole story.
It's like because earlier in the episode, Ford establishes that kind of what we already know about Bill, and that he needs to occupy people because he can only go in the mindscape, no physical form, and he says he wants the rift, and that still seems to be true at the end. He just kind of like restates, like he's just kind of like reminding us about Bill because we haven't really seen Bill in a bit. Yeah, but then the rift thing, I guess, is new info, although we got it from.
We could have inferred. That's why he
did we have that from Gideon last week or something? I think
we knew Bill wanted the rift. I think.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm just struggling a little with the logic of how is it that Ford is hiding this, but also not but also it doesn't matter because everything else he's saying is still true and stuff like that. I feel like that's a little tough to grasp.
I mean, he could be lying, I suppose.
He could still be lying
to Dipper, or not be telling the whole truth.
Well, everything with Fiddleford is still like super sketch, and it's like, where's Fiddleford going to come in? And like, because he's in all of the flashbacks, and Fiddleford just looks ticked, and like weird things always happen to him, and we still don't actually know what he saw. And so like, there's still like
he says that he saw the Bill's true plan. Yeah. So
then we see like the flash of like the whatever it looks like. Demon portal.
The demons that are hiding, that he would release.
But I still don't. But that doesn't. I don't know. Like, I still think we still don't have the whole picture. Like,
I get the impression that you're getting, which is like that this isn't super coherent. Everything that we get thrown at us. But that being said, like I said, this episode does tie everything together. Whether you buy that it's the full story or not is another thing. But like, we do see what Fiddleford saw. It ties to Bill. We learned what Bill's doing.
Bill tied to Ford.
We have Bill tied to Ford. It does actually explain everything.
In a very, very basic, not satisfying way, but yes.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people aren't going to be satisfied by these reveals.
I mean, like,
I'm fine with it. What if it's like this? The plot that advances from here is going to be so just out of the box and different from what we're expecting that this reveal isn't going to matter later on in the rest of the episodes, because where the plot progresses is just beyond this. This is just with building up to not what we are expecting to build it up to. You know what I mean? Like, there's foreshadowing, and we think based on what we've experienced so far in like Western sort of storytelling to have like a certain outcome, but it's going to be different. So maybe the reveal just doesn't matter as much as we think it does.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel well. I don't necessarily like. I know what you're saying, but like for me, I feel like these are key pieces of information. I just think we got like the smallest, tiniest tidbits of it, and I think they're going to add up to what you're saying. I do think like these were. I do think these were like meant to be important pieces of information, but they're not like the end all be all. Like we were spoon fed little tidbits of information that we need to remember for like 3 episodes from now. But it's not. But like they're going to add up to what you're talking about, if that makes sense. Like these are. I do think these are important, but they're very, very small pieces of the big puzzle, and they need to be like we do need to remember them, and they are going to matter. But like they're going to matter as like pieces to like some bigger thing.
So I guess there's two things here. Like one is that I think that expecting the show to get into too much more details from what we got tonight, if that's like where we're going, if tonight's stuff was actually true, and
I expect to be consistently shocked because that's what the show does. Like it takes what you're thinking and then it like blows up, and your head's like, "What?"
Yeah, I guess my point though is that the show never really gets into too many details of its plot.
Like I don't expect details. I expect like them to like do weird stuff.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like I don't just like I'm not talking like we're not going to get. I highly, highly, highly doubt we're going to get like Ford's backstory aside from maybe this like if we're getting more, it'll be about Fiddleford. It won't be about Ford, and it'll be like how they like relate or something, or like the barest like slightest more detail. Like Bill's going to trash talk about Ford. Like that, I almost guarantee that's going to happen, and that will be the kind of bit of background or whatever. But like that's done at this point. I feel like I doubt we're going to get more. So like that like, and then everything else will just get weird.
Yeah, like I feel like we're gonna get stuff on what happens like with the Rift in terms of backstory, but like he himself, we're just not gonna see.
I think I'm not convinced we'll see more Fiddleford stuff. That is one thing that's still up in the air is Ford's kind of what Ford was doing in the dimensions. That's still not established.
So I absolutely am certain Fiddleford is going to play a key part in the finale.
I don't think he's gonna like be a focus because there was a segment of the show like the show went in like this chunks of the mysteries of Gravity Falls, then we got to the Blind Eye stuff, and then we got into Ford stuff, and we had Bill stuff before that, and like I don't know if we're going back to like this McGucket like focus thing, but I guess he could play a role, that's fine. Yeah.
Well, what I mean is, like, they have played him off for so long as, like, he's just the scientist who went insane. But I do think...
You think we're still getting a big reveal from him? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily a big reveal. Like, he will play some part. Like, I don't think he's all there, but he will do something, and it'll, like, he will be a key to something. I don't know if it'll be good or bad. I would hope good. That Fiddleford, like, he has to play a role. We keep seeing him even in flashbacks, like he's always around, like he's gonna be there and he's gonna do something. Like that's a guarantee.
The other element to this is I feel like we're getting into a pretty straightforward motivation from Bill now, and like a Bill focus on we're releasing the Nightmare Scape into the world, right? And to me, this is much less interesting than what the show is focusing on, like before this calendar year, which is like the author, the mysteries of Gravity Falls. I feel like that stuff to me was much more interesting plot-wise, and this stuff is all kind of boring, Like, it's just like the straightforward apocalypse plot, and I'm not sold on that being a super interesting way to end the series.
I mean, I would hope not, and it's also just really, and I'm still not. I don't really know if it is his full plan because it's Bill Cipher and he's always doing something weird, and like I'd be very, very disappointed in Bill if his plan is just to end the world, because like Bill, you can be better than that. You're more creative. Like Bill has to have like an even like more ulterior motive. Like Bill has to have a reason for wanting to end the world, like other than just wanting to let his friends or whatever out. Like Bill, I don't know. Like maybe I have too much faith in like Bill Cipher, but.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm kind of accepting maybe more now that the show is actually done trying to explain Gravity Falls' mysteries, because like we kind of tied up in the Tale of Two Stands and going to the place where there's anomalies, and that's where the rift is, and that's why they're in Gravity Falls.
Kind of like an over the garden wall thing, like
you do
that, kind of like we have all these. Obviously, Gravity Falls is more explained than Over the Garden Wall, but like I've never watched and expected to have the mysteries more explained, or like I've never looked for depth there because I've always accepted it as like this is the setting and like weird things are going to happen. I mean, if we get an explanation, that'd be incredible, and I'd be so amazed. But I expect it to be more like Over the Garden Wall, where it's kind of like, oh, it's just kind of here.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they explained to us already. So I feel like that's kind of the expectation now is to the. But I think where we're at in kind of a more general sense, where we're at with the show now to me is less interesting than it was. When this was,
I understand.
Yeah,
I agree.
When we're
Apocalypse
focusing on
Plot
when we're focusing on the mysteries of the show of the town and the journals, and like we kind of are just a completely different show now since A Tale of Two Stands. Like this is much different than it was before.
Like when you actually start like unraveling the universe, especially in a show like this, it's not as interesting because like when you're starting to figure things out, you're like, oh, this isn't as like because you always speculate in a more like dramatic and interesting way than like, and a lot of times things happen. And
I know.
So when you so when you start to actually get answers, it's like, oh, like that's neat, and like, so I mean, I think that's just par for the course. Like, of course, this is happening, and especially in a show that's in a setting like this, like, it's just what's going to happen. Like when you move away from Monster of the Week, which can sometimes be more interesting depending on like the monster and like what all you're getting into. When we move into more of a plot like this, which Apocalypse Plot is not creative and like this happens literally all the time. I mean, I would assume they're going to do something different with it. It's Gravity Falls, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I don't think they're just going to do a straight, like, Apocalypse Plot. They're going to...
I hope not.
If they do, I'm going to be very sad.
I'm not sure if the general critical consensus with the show agrees with me, but I think that we really haven't had an episode in maybe 10, 15 now that I feel like was as good as the show's high point with it in like the middle of season 1, late season 1. Although second half of season 1 not as good, and then I feel like that was kind of when the show was in its stride, when I was most attached to it, when it was kind of most interesting, and its episodes maybe I don't know if the episodes are weaker now. I feel like I guess it's less interesting now that we have everything laid out, which is a danger of concluding things,
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with we actually have a plot now. Like we had a plot in season 1, but like the middle of season 1 was a lot of like Monster of the Week and like these weird
standalone
and, like,
episodes. They were
standalone, and they were quality and they were really good, and like character moments and figuring out Gravity Falls, and we had, and like you're talking about the mysteries more interesting, and now when you have like a driven plot like this and you're getting like spoon fed, and a lot of the shows we watch like have these formats, and it's very like I've like you watch something like this, you watched them all, like how they spoon feed you and like how plot, and like it gets kind of boring, especially when it seems like, I don't think we are, but we're moving towards an apocalypse plot, and we're getting like little bits of plot, and like it just happens with, obviously it can be done like incredibly well, but like sometimes the writing just gets weaker when you're trying to focus on plot, and we've said that character is really where the strong suit is, and now we're not focusing so much on the character, and it is the plot, so this makes sense. Like the strength of the show is the standalone like incredible episodes like with Blendin and things like that. And then now that we have the
and I think this episode's a good microcosm of the general sense of what the show, like the A plot I feel like is more of like how the show was before, and I feel like that's super strong, and then the B plot's kind of representative of the problems of this more plot driven focus the show has now. Anyway, I think this is probably the strongest episode in, I would have to look at the episode guide, but quite a while for me. Like I'm pretty happy with this.
I think I disagree simply because I think I liked the last episode more than you did. If I'm recalling correctly, I think I was more like positive about it. I might be wrong.
You were more
I don't
positive
know if
on that episode, yeah.
And so, but like I definitely like this is definitely like a like I can't. How far away ago was Dungeons and More Dungeons?
Only 2 episodes.
Well, then I'm fine. That was my favorite episode. We're good. Like I'm in a good spot.
That was a good episode. I think this is like, to me, like, okay, it's somewhat of a similar quality to Dungeons. It's obviously better than Stanchion Candidate for me. Like I think this is better than Not What He Seems, Tale of Two Stands. Like I think those were good episodes, potentially even great. But this episode's more indicative of what I love about the show. Yeah. I don't know, going back all the way to like Into the Bunker, maybe it's the best episode since Into the Bunker, early in the season. Northwest Mansion Mystery was great.
Where's Pacifica? I miss her.
Yeah, where's what?
Where's Pacifica? Where is she?
Yeah, I don't know. Where's our Dipsifica? You know, we need some.
I know. I've been
We
waiting.
need some more Dipsifica.
Maybe Bill will possess Pacifica.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Let's
That'd be
do it.
so-
Yeah, let's get Pacifica back into it. Okay, Britt, what do you think? This is the best episode since what, or just in general?
Well, I like it a lot more than last week's episode. With
Am I the only one who loved that episode?
No, it's stupid. And then the episode before that is,
Yeah.
and then it's good. I would put it in the great tier.
In the great tier of our non-existent tiers. Yeah. No, I don't know. I think no one's going to agree with me, but I think this is better than Not What He Seems and Tale of Two Stands. Okay, let's move to our stray thoughts part of this AV Club article, where let's go over his joke. What's bless you? What standout jokes can you think of from this? Bless you again, Delaney. What standout jokes from this?
The Harry Potter joke is always for me, like target audience right here. Just
okay.
Candy, so brutal.
Candy.
Like,
Let's run through my outline quickly, and we'll comment when appropriate. Okay. Princess Lovacorn says, "Buy my 42 accessories" in the beginning. We should note the shortened theme and not our full theme, like I like. Board game.
I noticed.
Nekonomically. Don't wake Stalin.
That was so good.
What could go wrong? The board game. Our few stands. Santiago, you have 24 hours to get these pugs across the whatever border. I don't know what he said, but the Mexican border. Yeah, and
the US border.
U.S. border. Yeah,
Which is funny because they're in Oregon, and
that doesn't make sense.
But where are you going?
Mabel's finally of age to go to wizard school. If there's an owl in this bag, he's long dead. Says Ford. Yeah.
So bad. Well, it reminds me of the really terrible joke that it's like, how long does an owl live? And it's like 6.5 books. And I'm like, this is so terrible. That's what that reminded me of, and I was displeased.
Mabel is like obsessed with unicorns. She's banned from the petting zoo because what did she do? She taped a
traffic cone
to the horse's head. Yeah.
Not even like a paper towel roll or like
the sweater she's wearing right now is a unicorn. They point out the sweater. That's good.
It's a really good sweater, by the way. Like, we're talking like top 5 sweaters.
Mabel has a harpoon gun.
It's okay to give weapons to children, right?
In this dimension, like, really?
Yeah, come on, Ford.
In that dimension, is it okay? I guess there's a few. It must be okay.
We had, as Britt pointed out, Wendy was wearing a House Stark shirt. I did not catch that. Yeah, we get nice.
I mean, she's totally a Stark. Let's be honest.
Wendy would watch Game of Thrones, though. I mean, she
and she would like the Stark. She'd do.
Is Wendy the Sansa of?
No, she's Egret. Only she
she's
does.
Arya.
No,
I feel like Pacifica's the Sansa.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay. Candy has this thing about licking the unicorn's neck.
Candy terrifies me to my core. She creeps me out so hard.
We had the thing about the deepest voice of druids of old, and we had
It was so good. Wait, that was one of my favorites. Like
Grenda doing it, yeah.
her singing was marvelous. I was proud of her.
Celesta Bellabell's Room of Enchantment and Bethabel. She has a whole thing about shoes, and Mabel. What do you think of how this episode does for Mabel's character? Everything about her being a good person and stuff.
I mean, it's cute and like it works, but I don't know.
I do like the when they try to connect the plot lines when
and then Ford literally goes, "You're a good person, Mabel." I was like, "Okay, Tenzin."
Okay.
Okay, Tenzin. Like, all
accurate,
right.
Yeah.
You can go back now.
What was the connection? It was Dipper's trying to
they're trying to
purify or protect his mind, and Mabel's trying to purify her heart. Yeah, and
like, yeah,
I appreciate trying to tie them together. And
I kind of liked it for like the 2 seconds where it was like, I do tease Dipper a lot, and people have complained about how like Dipper is so nice to Mabel and he sacrifices everything for Mabel, and Mabel's a terrible sister, blah blah blah. I enjoyed that for like 2 seconds, and then I was like, nah, this is fine, Mabel, go punch the unicorn.
Yes.
And then like all the girls back her up, and then they come home and they're covered in unicorn like blood.
Yeah, they just like murdered some unicorns.
This isn't some shoe store as they walk out of the room of enchantment, and which I guess I don't know if we should be calling it by the thing that Celeste Bell says.
Can they get charged with like unicornicide, like lamacide?
No, this isn't Harry Potter. They're not gonna go to Azkaban for killing a unicorn and has a half-life.
But
no.
Stan was charged with lamacide. I feel like they would be upset about dead
That was
unicorns.
in Oklahoma.
Okay, Oregon has different unicorn laws. Okay, Brit. Expert in unicorn law.
We have the training montage with Mabel becoming good.
I heard the 80s music coming, and I was like, everything with Mabel is always like 80s music, and it makes me so happy.
We go back to Celeste Bell. What do they call? What do her friends call her? Seabeth?
I said Seabass.
No, I think Seabeth, because Beth is in her name. And she says, you're crushing like 10 dandelions right now. Those are basically children's dreams. She has 3 o'clock posing in front of a rainbow.
That was really good. Like that was, and then like the animation with that, I was just like in tears.
It was beautiful.
We talked about the drug bust with gnomes and stuff. Then we have the satyr with Seabeth. Doth mine eyes deceive me? Says yo Seabeth, are you pulling this pure of heart scam again? The only things their horns are for glowing, point to the nearest rainbow, and to play rave music.
Of course the unicorns listen to rave music. So good.
That's great. That was really good. Yeah, that whole scene is my favorite. They keep hair to themselves just to tick humans off, and then they fight they fight everything, the unicorns, and that's great.
Punches the unicorn in the face. Mabel is my hero.
Unicorn hair. No, did anyone say unicorn hair? No, that would have been perfect. They finally gave us this treasure chest to get rid of us. That was good. And
then Stan at last returned.
Money, yeah.
So good.
Today I learned
there was a lack of Stan in this episode.
There was, but he had those 2 lines with the pugs and money. Today I learned that morality is relative. I mean, any episode that ends with Mabel saying that is wonderful.
Yeah, Stan would be so proud.
Yeah, and then the end, we have the shield around the shack, and then Bill's like, as long as they're inside, they're safe, but his next pawn on the outside. Okay, let's end on this. Who will be Bill's next pawn?
Seuss.
It seems like they're going Seuss, right?
But they've also hinted at we have to get back to what's his face, the person I hate, Gideon.
Gideon, yeah, they had that last week too. But
Gideon tried to summon him too. So
yeah, what's the point of that if he's not going in Gideon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
what if he could just? I mean, theoretically, he could possess more than one person at once.
Yeah,
probably.
That's true. But we've already arrived at my favorite idea, which is Pacifica.
Pacifica.
That would be. I mean, why do we have Northwest Mansion Mystery? And then it's been 7 episodes now since, or like 6 episodes now since we have.
There hasn't been a Pacifica.
We had all this development with Pacifica. We had all this Pacifica, and it has not paid off yet. And I demand that it be.
I mean, he could possess Pacifica.
Yes, I hope that's where we're going with this.
Just to be mean, he could possess one of Dipper's lost clones.
Oh man. I feel like it's either going to be Gideon or Seuss, though. Like, that has to be.
Yeah, like, I think Gideon or Zeus are, like, the logical answers.
Would be really weird. That would be neat, too, though. Wendy. That would, like, mess Dipper up hardcore.
Yeah. I would also like Wendy, yeah.
Dylan just wants all the women to be possessed.
I just want more female involvement in the main plot.
I mean, same.
Yeah. That is what I'm. Also, just Pacifica separate from this. We need more Pacifica back in the plot. There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I've Pacifica. Where is she?
Yes. Okay. Closing thoughts.
Also, where's Waddles?
Waddles? No, wait. He's possessing Waddles. We've solved it. Okay. We solved it. Okay. I feel like we have covered enough in the Last Mabelcorn. I'm super high on it. I'm interested to see the fan reaction, but we only have to wait 2 weeks for next week's, next episode, Roadside Attraction. So there we go.
Nice.
Which one? What's the description on that one?
I don't see the description. I guess we could click into the thing. click into the season 2 plot. Stan brings the kids on a road trip to ruin every other tourist trap in Oregon.
Oh,
That's
that's
interesting. Chelsea Peretti is Chelsea Peretti is
More
a guest voice.
Stan, yes.
Okay. I'm Dylan Hysen. That's Delaney Stovall, Brit Falcon. You can find all of our links and everything about this podcast at overlyanimated.com. You can support our Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Huge thanks to our current patrons. I am realizing that we didn't nickname Jamie yet. Thanks to our current patrons, Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Andy, and Jamie, recent patron. Thank you very much, Jamie.
Jamie.
Hayna, Fever, Mitch, Cordell, University, Beatrix, Strange, Buzz Lightyear. I don't know what Jamie's nickname is yet. Do we have ideas right now?
Well, I gave you my idea and you didn't like it.
What was your idea?
Well, it was like Game of Thrones. Which
Oh,
is
yeah, no, that's a terrible idea. No, I don't like it.
It shouldn't be the nickname, but that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll work on it. We have some time.
It'll happen.
For now, for now, you're Kingslayer. That's because that's all we have for now.
You're Kingslayer. Right?
That's all we have for now.
Appropriate and okay one that we can use.
Yeah.
Jamie's gonna be like, I don't even watch Game of Thrones. It's stupid.
I mean, we are an animation podcast. You can't expect people to watch. Although Wendy watches Game of Thrones, so that's good.
So yeah.
I don't know what the implications are of Game of Thrones existing within the Gravity Falls universe, but then again,
Or
Rick and Morty already exists within the Game of Thrones universe, so
They have TV.
they have TV. That's true. Yeah.
So there's Duck Detective, Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones.
this episode would imply that Harry Potter exists too. Yeah. Okay. We've already had closing thoughts. I think we're good. Did I forget anything about the ending? I don't think so. Okay. Thanks, listen, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks, or there's be 6 podcasts in the meantime, so you can check us out. Steven Universe is back on Thursday, yay! And we'll see you next time at Live 2 weeks for the next Gravity Falls episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.
See you.